Hey everybody, it's Kevin at Bear Creek. December 24th, 2020. Year's almost over. We finally got some snow on the ground, so it looks like we might have a little bit of a white Christmas. We also had a temperature plummet, 6 degrees outside, which is about 14 below 0 Celsius. Kind of glad that I got my hives all wrapped up here. I still do want to go out to the farm and wrap those. I wasn't going to, but I really do think it's probably the best thing I should probably do. But what I wanted to talk about today is about treatment and treatment-free beekeeping. And there's a good discussion on this scientific chat that I'm on. I don't post much on it because it's got a lot of researchers and scientists and very experienced beekeepers on there, so I just watch and listen and I don't really say a whole lot. But they've come up with some interesting discussions on the ethics about treatment-free beekeeping, and there's a lot of opinions, as you would probably guess there would be. So I kind of wanted to take a moment and discuss it. Some people are real adamant about the ethics behind it, and others are kind of on the other side, and they say it's kind of up to every individual as to what they feel they need for their bees. They want to do for their bees, and I want to kind of share with you my take on treatment or treatment-free beekeeping, and just discuss it a little bit. And I want to give a little bit of an analogy behind it. And the one thing I really want you to pay attention to is more the message than the analogy, because any analogy can be torn apart. But I want you to just listen to the message, and if it makes sense, great. If it doesn't, I'm not going to apologize for it. That's just my opinion. Obviously, everybody has their own. So let's set this down here, and we'll talk about it for a bit. Lord knows that I am not the poster child for mite management. I've got a lot to learn about treating mites, treating for mites, and Lord also knows that I know better than some of the things that I do, but I do it anyways, and I should strive to do a little bit better. Maybe it's a little bit of lazy beekeeping. I don't know. I have a mite management plan. Starts off in the spring when the bees are able to fly a lot. I give them a shot of oxalic acid, which just knocks back any phoretic mites that may have made it through the winter. And then I install apivar strips as my mite plan. Now I leave those in as the hive builds for about 6 weeks. I might install them, the last week of April, so I'll pull them out maybe the second week of June. And then after that, my honey supers go on my hives, and I don't do anything as far as mite treatments until I pull my honey supers off 1st of August. 1st of August rolls around, I pull my honey supers off, I back feed my hives, and I also give them a shot of oxalic acid, and I install I install apivar strips again. One strip for every 5 frames of bees. Generally, I run a 5-frame or a 10-frame box, so 2 strips in a 10-frame box is what I go with. And then, so I pull those out maybe 6 weeks later, 7 weeks later, and the bees are put to bed. And then sometime in November or very early December, if I get a good warm day, I'll give them a double dose of oxalic acid. And you know, that isn't helping the winter bees. The August treatment helped all the winter bees out, which is kind of what I wanted. Not only helped the winter bees out, it helped the bees that took care of the winter bees out. But in the for the December one that I knocked back, anything that might have clung on, I hit those hard so that when they start brooding up, say uh, end of February, beginning of March, when they start their brood rearing here, um, you know, there won't be as many mites in the colony to really get on a roll before the spring rolls in. So that's my mite management plan. Um, Now I know a lot of commercial beekeepers, uh, especially the ones you watch the videos on. You know, they might have a yard, 50, 60 hives. I don't know. You know, they do a mite check in 3 hives, and they might have 0 here and 2 in this one, and then 6 in this one. Truth of the matter is, they're going to treat all their hives anyways, regardless if they get 0, 0, and 0. They're going to treat them all. Is it good to know what your mite levels are? Yeah, probably, but if you're going to treat them all anyways, that's where my rub comes in. And I'm like, well, I'm going to treat them anyways, so why not, you know, why kill 300 bees? I should probably test more. I really should. And especially they say, well, you're supposed to test afterwards too, after the mite treatments. Well, you know, Apivar takes 6 to 7 weeks to work. So am I really supposed to pull my hive apart in end of September when they're pretty much put away and grab a bunch of bees that I'm going to need to make it through winter and kill a bunch of bees to check their mite load? It is what it is at that point, to be honest with you. It just is. But at least I do something and I have somewhat of a plan. But some people don't treat at all. Some people, and here's the thing when I talk about mite treatments, there is such a thing as mite treatment, or people call it treatment-free, but it really is a mite treatment, and that is folks that they do splits at certain points in time, and they do brood breaks at certain points in time to control their mite levels. That is a mite treatment plan. There's a great channel out there from an English gentleman that happens to live in Wisconsin. His name is Adrian Quiney, and he is a treatment-free beekeeper. He is chemical-free, I guess you could say, either organic or inorganic, but he is not treatment-free. He does splits, and he does brood breaks, and he sells half of his colonies every year. I can't tell you whether the colonies that he sells are full of mites. I have no idea. But he has good success overwintering his colonies, and it's something that should be looked at further for, and he gets a good honey crop. Hey, that works. Fantastic. Trapping queens and doing a brood break for a period of time is time consuming when you got a lot of hives. So if you don't really have that time, well, then you might have to actually go with a more of a chemical style treatment. But I give hats off to something like that. But the treatment-free I'm talking about is a hands-off approach. And that's what that discussion that I was talking about from those researchers and commercial beekeepers and scientific type minds were discussing. The ethics of the hands-off approach. Buy a box of bees, set it down, you don't do anything to it, put your honey supers on, you take them off, and they want half their colonies to die, or they expect half their colonies to die, and then they choose from those for the next year to breed from. Is it ethical to allow a hive to dwindle and die when there was something that you could have done about it. And that was the main discussion about that. And my analogy is this. Breeze, come here, buddy. Let's go. Attaboy. Here. Heel. Right here. Sit. Now, I've been raising Goldens, breeding Goldens for a little over 20 years. And my favorite dog in the world, but everybody has their favorites. And, you know, when I picked up my pup, my first pup to my last pup from the breeder, and I brought him into my home, I had an ethical and a moral obligation to care for my dogs. Whether I bred it at home or I bought it from a breeder, as soon as I gave it a home, it's under my care. And my analogy is this. Now these dogs, they love to go out and they romp in the woods and the fields and everything like that. And they come back and they pick up wood ticks. And if I had no ethics or no morals whatsoever, I'd let the wood ticks feed on my dog and I wouldn't do anything about it. But I don't. I put tick preventative medication on them all summer long, from spring through the fall, because I hunt, because I care for my dogs. I don't let them, I don't wait to see if they start becoming lethargic, becoming lame, have kidney failure, and then not take them to the vet when needed. I do preventative care on them so that it doesn't get to that point. Now, what would you think about the ethics being if I raised a litter of puppies up and I waited till they got, sick from Lyme's, and they all got Lyme's, and half of them died, but or maybe 3/4 of them died, and I had a few that survived, and I say, well, now I've got a tick-resistant dog that I'm breeding from. You know, and each round you let more and more die. What are the ethics behind that? And honestly, there's really not much of a difference. Why in the world would I allow my bees to dwindle and die if there is something that I can do about it? Where is the ethics in that? I'm not going to sit there and beat on your door and say, hey, what are you doing to your bees? But, people get online and they shout from a rooftop that they're treatment-free and this is what they're doing, and then they get a cult following of people, new beekeepers that come out and they set their hive out and they end up killing their bees, and they're in beekeeping for a year, 2 years. Their bees died every year and they're having to buy more, and then they just get out of it, which is actually a good thing. I'm glad that they do. But there's not a lot of ethics in that, in allowing that to happen. So I think that we should do everything possible to help our bees along. Now, that's not to say that you can't go through and you try to do everything for your hives, and you treat all your hives, and you've treated them all the same, and they're all about the same power, and you say, okay, after I treated, a few weeks later, you go in and you go, that one's got 0, that one's got 0, that one's got 12, that one's got 0, that one's got 5, that one's got, well, now you start breeding from the ones that have zeros. That's what Randy Oliver is doing in scientific beekeeping right now. He's still treating, but he's selecting from, he's selecting from the ones that he's treated, but after he's treated, they've maintained a low mite population, and he's seeing how that comes out. Now, his study obviously isn't over. That's a kind of an ongoing thing, but why wouldn't you do the same thing? Now, me myself, I'm actually breeding for a northern strain of bee. You know, something that can survive my winters. You know, something I don't have to feed. I don't have to, you know, coddle through the winter to get by. And when I say feed, I mean, you know, put supplemental feed on for the winter. I can just, uh, you know, top them off after I've taken their honey. I top them off, and they'll be good for the winter after I've cared for their mite protection. Now there's other bees that I have, like I said, that you know, they go through their stores so fast, and I gotta feed them. But I'm still trying to care for them because I'm still trying to get them through winter. Now, do I want to breed from that bee? Absolutely not. Do I want those drones breeding my bees? No. But I'll take care of that by going in and taking out drone comb after they breed it, because I don't want those drones breeding my next breed of queens. But I can still use those bees for resources, and I'm not just allowing the colony to fail just because I want to create this winter super bee here. You know, it's a lofty goal, to be sure, given that I don't have many hives, but I still will try it. But that's the dilemma facing me, and that's my analogy for treatment versus treatment-free. Again, when I say treatment-free, I mean hands-off. I don't mean brood breaks and splits are mite management. It's a method of doing it, and it works. So that's not what I'm talking about when I say treatment-free. I'm just talking total hands-off. So, you know, I hope that analogy made sense to you in that I think education is good, getting out there and going to these seminars where these educated and experienced beekeepers speak to you about the truths behind treatments and treatment-free beekeeping efforts that are going on. Just be ethical, be moral. It's the right thing to do. Just in my opinion, you know, you can say what what you feel. That's up to you. But that's it. That's the end of my little rant for today. I'm hoping to have a little cheerier video out Christmas. I'm getting a little cold out here right now, so I'm going to go back inside. But if I don't get a video out on Christmas, I want you all to have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Remember, all beekeeping is local.